Testing 1, 2, 3. Can anybody hear me if I shed the irony? Would everybody cheer me if I acted less like me?
Do you know what an assessment is?
No.
You haven't heard that word at school? What about a test?
My teacher, yeah, I do 3 tests.
You have 3 tests? What are they?
Doing words, reading them, and doing books.
How do you do on those tests? Yeah, do you do good?
Yeah.
How do you know you do good?
Because I listen.
This is Hanover. This is my great niece, and she is in, what grade are you in, Hanover?
1st grade,
1st grade. Where do you go to school?
Midway Elementary.
Oh, okay. Have you ever heard the word assessment?
Yes.
You have? What's an assessment?
It's where you read and then answer questions from the teacher.
Do you think you're really good at taking assessments?
Maybe. I think I do.
What kind of grades do you make on assessments?
3s.
3s. What's a 3?
A 3s, you've made it.
Is that the highest grade?
Uh-huh.
It is. So, like anything below a 3 would be like a 2 and a 1.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten anything lower than a 3? No. Do you think you're really good at taking assessments then, if you make level 3?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You like math assessments better or reading assessments?
Reading.
Reading assessments? Tell me
Because
why.
my favorite thing is reading.
Why?
Because my favorite thing is reading.
Why is your favorite thing reading?
Because you learn and you can learn so much from it.
From reading?
Uh-huh.
These assessments are boring and dumb.
Cassius?
Yes?
I think an assessment is more of an official test that you take to prove that you can go, that you're smart enough to do this class or whatever. And what was class? I don't think we do a lot of assessments, but we usually do them one at the end of the quarter or the beginning of the quarter, but mainly the beginning of the quarter to prepare us for the year. And no, I don't like it. I don't like tests in the first place.
My name is Michaela Reed and I'm a freshman in high school. Assessments are tests like the EOG, EOC, ACT, and SAT. Assessments are important because it shows teachers your specific mastery in a certain subject or where you are lacking so that they can better help you. Assessments can also place you into certain classes. For example, when I was in elementary school, I took a test that said I was eligible to be put in the AG program. And from elementary school to high school, I had been placed in classes that have been better suited to my academic needs. Assessments are also important to college entrance. Ivy League schools like Duke and Harvard are more inclined to accept you once they've seen that you have high mastery in the subjects tested on the SATs or ACTs. They can also help you get scholarships into very fine colleges like the ones I have previously mentioned. My parents have always told me to get high scores on these final exams as to when I do eventually go to college, that I have a college that can accept me because of my high scores.
Yes, we use assessment a lot. We use lots of different kinds of assessment. I mean, even observation data is very important to see how students, even what their facial expressions look like when they're reading, if they're showing signs of frustration. Other kinds of assessment, seeing what their responses are through analysis. Certainly we use benchmark and EOGs and that kind of thing. One of the common types of assessment we use in language arts in 7th grade is Common Lit. And we have usually 7th grade passages, and they are aligned to Common Core skills. So we can really focus in on 1 or 2 skills at a time and see how students are doing. We can get individual snapshots of how they're doing, and then we can also look at graphs to show how the class is growing as a whole on particular skills. And I like to show those graphs to the students, because at the beginning of the year they had like that much green, and now for the whole circle they're almost, you know, at 94% in all of the classes for particular skills. So they've really been able to see their growth. So we do like to use assessment, all different kinds, and it gives us a lot of information that we can help students.
Assessment. Yes, as a teacher, we use assessment in several different ways. Obviously, we use it to evaluate our students, but we also use it as a diagnostic. We also use it to see where we should place students as far as their levels of learning. I think it's important collecting data and having information to let us know what our kids are learning and what they need to learn obviously plays a big role. I think where we get confused a lot of time with assessment is we use it as the only form of you know, kind of evaluating our kids, and I don't think that that's necessarily good. I know that, you know, as you go to college, you have you know, standardized tests and assessments that you will do. Even when in certain jobs where you have to apply for certain jobs, there may be assessments, but I think sometimes we rely on it too much here as educators. It is important. There is a need for it. I just think that a lot of our kids, I worry about the ones who have a bad test day, and I worry about kids who, you know, something goes on that one day. I don't want to be judged on just one day. And I know our kids struggle with that. A lot of them have test anxiety and stuff like that. Not to mention, you know, as from a state perspective, the cost of these tests are astronomical. So it's very important that I think we use the information, but I also think it's important that we find other ways to do it. Thank
As
you.
an administrator at Jamestown Middle School, we work with our teachers to provide student assessments that gauges students' mastery of the intended objectives. Ideally, teachers should create assessments to know what they're aiming for and tailoring their teaching to the students' learning styles. When we look at student assessments, we want our teachers to discuss these assessments during PLCs, to look at the data, and to see what they can do to help our students grow. Student assessments are very important when we look at benchmark assessments, we look at the end of grade assessments, and again, those assessments are viewed upon student growth and how we can work with our teachers to continue to have conceptual learning in classrooms. Again, as an administrative team, we value our teachers' hard work that they're doing, and student assessment is just one part of that as we educate our students at Jamestown Middle School.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Can anybody hear me if I share?